So, you're here because you have a shitload of money to spend on your G37 sedan exhaust. But the question in your mind, why you clicked on this video, is should I get the ARC exhaust or the Motordyne exhaust? Let's go over the differences. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Fox Den, welcome back to the vlog, and welcome to another acid trip. Today we are going to talk about the differences between the ARC grip exhaust and the Motordyne exhaust for a G37 sedan. This will apply to G37 coupes as well, and the G35 sedan and G35 coupe. So, let's just start off with the ARC, I guess. So the ARC is 2.5 inch all the way through. So it's 2.5 inch piping all the way through. The Motordyne is 2.5 inch, and then it flares out to 3 inch after the muffler. Now that's not really going to increase power. The reason the Motordyne is like that is because you don't want to go over really 2.5 inch on this car, and the 3 inch is just to kind of give it a better, louder tone. That's honestly, that's the reason why Motordyne has that. But the ARC is just 2.5 inch all the way through. So as far as power, there's really no difference between the Motordyne and the ARC. As far as I'm concerned, they both flow just as well. The ARC does have 2 resonators and 2 mufflers and 2 Helmholtz resonators. The Motordyne has 1 muffler, no resonators, but 2 Helmholtz resonators. The Motordyne has a resonated X pipe. That's what the Motordyne muffler is. The ARC does not have a resonated X pipe. It just has 2 resonators after the X pipe. So as a result, there are some circumstances where the ARC will actually have rasp. If you put on long tube headers, depending on which ones you put on anyway, and if you do certain test pipes, certain high flow cats, the ARC kind of has some rasp problems. But it's not necessarily a bad rasp. It's actually kind of a good rasp, like good sounding. Like the rasp is there, but you know, you don't really need to worry about it. It's not like a really bad rasp. Now the Motordyne obviously has the resonating X pipe, and we all know the Motordyne has absolutely no issues with rasp. No matter what you do to the exhaust, there's just no rasp. You could pretty much do whatever you want to the Motordyne. Of course, the Motordyne is way louder. That brings me to my next point. What do you want? Do you daily drive your G, or is it your weekend car? If you daily drive your G, the ARC exhaust might be the better choice. With stock cats, it's actually a very quiet exhaust, despite what you might think after watching some videos. My guy Alex has the exhaust, and he had stock cats before. You can check that out in the previous video a couple months ago. And that exhaust actually is pretty quiet. It's actually quieter than a muffler delete. Alex got some high flow cats, and he's going to be putting some headers on. We will be getting videos of his headers. Because there's no videos of ISR headers with the ARC grip, but that'll be another video. So the Motordyne with stock cats isn't that loud, but it's loud. I do daily drive my G mostly, but I don't care about that. If you don't care how loud your car is, then I'd say go for the Motordyne. But sound quality, the Motordyne, I don't know, they sound really good. Both exhausts sound really good. The ARC has its own special, unique tone, while the Motordyne has its own special, unique tone. I would say the ARC has like a much more mellow, exotic sound, while the Motordyne has more of like the GTR exotic sound. That's the best way I would describe it. The ARC is just a much more tame sound. Both exhausts are very drivable for everyday use because they have the Helmholtz resonators, so there is no drone. Unless, of course, you put on long tube headers, that might change that. As you guys know, I did that with my Motordyne exhaust, and it was so loud that I actually had to modify it and put resonators on it. I don't regret it at all. Sounds amazing with the Flowmaster FlowFX resonators and the ISR headers on the Motordyne exhaust, and I have no regrets doing that. But it was quite loud, so if you're looking for long tube headers and you're concerned about noise, you definitely would want to gravitate toward the ARC exhaust. Now we'll move on to looks and quality. Both exhausts, they're great quality. I mean, you're paying $1,500 to $2,000, over $2,000 for these 2 exhausts. The quality's there. There's nothing more to say about it. Both exhausts are very good quality, and highly recommend both. Looks, I would say the ARC looks a little bit more aggressive because it has those big, fat, round mufflers in the back that kind of angle out with the Helmholtz resonators, and the resonated giant exhaust tips that the ARC has. I would definitely say the Arc looks a little bit better than the Motordyne just because it's there. It doesn't look, the Motordyne just doesn't really have that aggressive look to it. You can kind of see the Helmholtz resonators under there, but not really. The Motordyne's a little less out there, except the blue titanium tips. And the Motordyne does come with titanium tips, which the Arc does not, if that matters to anybody. So let's move back to the daily category. And Arc would also be better for the daily category because the Motordyne hangs extremely low. I've scraped it with lowering springs. I'm pretty sure I've scraped it on stock suspension too. So definitely keep that in mind about the Motordyne if you're planning on lowering your G, especially if you plan on having it very low. The Motordyne exhaust is not a very good choice for that. You will scrape it on absolutely everything. Can't tell you how many people I've seen online that have just destroyed their Motordyne because they scraped it too much. So bear that in mind too. Both exhausts, they really have some trade-offs to think about. But yeah, overall, that's pretty much the differences between the Arc and the Motordyne. I mean, there's not a whole lot to talk about, but just to summarize, daily driving, the Arc is better. It hangs up higher, it's quieter, it's more refined, versus the Motordyne, it hangs pretty low, and it's just louder. For quality, they're both just as good. For looks, the Arc looks more aggressive, in my opinion, just because it has the big mufflers on the back. And for sound, kind of just depends. Sound quality, it just depends on what you do. I will say this, no matter what exhaust parts you add to the Motordyne, test pipes, headers, high flow cats, whatever it is, it's always going to sound good. Whereas the Arc kind of has the issues with it can have some issues with rasp, but it's not really a bad rasp. It's kind of a good rasp, but either way, no one wants rasp. So that kind of is up to you. If you're looking for the best sound possible, you definitely want to go with Motordyne. If you're looking for the best daily drivability possible, you definitely want to go with Arc. And performance, the main question, they're pretty much the same because the Motordyne starts at 2.5 inch. It does end at 3 inch, but if it starts at 2.5 inch, it's a 2.5 inch exhaust pretty much. The 3 inch is just to make it sound louder. The Arc is 2.5 inch all the way through. There's no difference. Yes, the Arc has 2.5 inch all the way through, but that's not really going to affect performance. So yeah, those are the main differences of the Arc exhaust and the Motordyne exhaust. And I hope this was helpful to help you choose which exhaust you want. Now both exhausts do cost the same as of now. Before, the Arc exhaust cost about $1,600 before tax, shipping, etc. And the Motordyne was always over $2,000. Now the Arc exhaust is kind of consistently at $2,000. Really comes down to what exhaust works best for you. So I hope this is helpful. We have lots more exhaust videos coming because obviously we've changed my setup drastically with the Motordyne, and my guy Alex, he's also going to be getting headers. So we'll be doing some videos on his exhaust because there's no videos at all with the Arc exhaust with the ISR headers except for one that just came out recently. Oh right, my second light just came on. That's great. I'm just finishing up the video, but you know, you could have did that 10 minutes ago. Anyway guys, hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, hit me up on Instagram. There may have been some things that I missed. I'll be happy to answer your questions. Hopefully this helps you decide between the Motordyne and the Arc exhaust. Both great exhausts, highly recommend them. Obviously they both have their trade-offs, but they're both great exhausts overall. If you don't want to spend $2,000 on the exhaust and you're just here just kind of exploring your options, that's why you're watching this video, highly recommend checking out the Speed Culture Studios custom catback. I just learned about this recently. It's a very budget-friendly exhaust. It's not too loud and it sounds great, so make sure you check that out if you are shopping around for an exhaust. You don't always have to buy a box exhaust for this car. That's going to wrap up today's video, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Hope it was helpful. And as I said, if you have any more questions, hit me up on Instagram at SoFoxG37. Don't forget to subscribe, join the Fox Pack today, hit the bell notification so you be notified when we do something stupid. Follow our racing club at SoFox Racing Group and follow me on Instagram at SoFoxG37. We have a lot more content on the way. We have lots of off-road stuff coming. Make sure you subscribe for that. I appreciate you G guys would watch that too because it's going to be awesome. Just as fun as the G. More cruises. We're getting a retune next week. Really looking forward to that. We'll be spitting flames and we'll be making some great power. So lots to come. Remember, life is too short to stay stuck, and it's only legal if you get caught. Stay Foxy.